Welcome to your Fantasy Fulfilled, right here on ESPN the Network. I'm your host, Natasha Miles, aka Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess, and I'm back again like the month of December as we kick off week number 13. And Thursday night's game gave us the Dallas Cowboys extending their winning streak to 11 games as they defeated the Minnesota Vikings. So congratulations to them. And if you've been watching my episodes of your Fantasy Fulfilled, well, first of all, thank you very much. And secondly, you will notice that I do not guarantee anything. I mean, I just make some pretty good, bold predictions, and usually they're pretty accurate. But I am going to make a bold guarantee this week. That's right. And I guarantee you that the Cleveland Browns will not lose this week. That is a guarantee. Okay, well, they won't lose because they're on a bye this week, along with the Tennessee Titans. As these two teams conclude the bye weeks for the 2016 NFL season. And speaking of bye weeks, please make sure that this week you buy a copy of my book, When Football Season Turns You Into His Side Chick, The Ultimate Survival Guide for Relationships and Households During Football Season. And it's available on Amazon.com and CreateSpace.com. So be sure you definitely go out and show some support. And I thank you in advance. And now that we are in December, a time of year that I love, I'm going to make sure that you love your fantasy football rosters here for week number 13. Hey, have no fear. Joan Madden is here. So let's kick this thing off with your automatics. We begin this teenage stage of NFL weeks with week number 13. And your automatic quarterback, you should go with Breezy. Who that, you ask? Drew Brees of the Saints as the Motown Swing comes to town and they face Detroit. For starters, the Saints play way better at home. And the odds are definitely in the six-footers' favor as the Lions secondary generously donate the fourth most fantasy points to quarterbacks alone. In addition, Brees has thrown for over 300 yards and passed for multiple touchdowns in 10 out of 11 of his last games, including a trio of touchdowns in 3 out of his last 4 games. The gunslinger also has an arsenal of weapons who rarely drop passes, so that gives the former Boilermaker another reason to have a hot performance on deck. He'll do work today, so if Brees is your quarterback, then you're cooler than a nice summer breeze off the New Orleans coast in this favorable matchup today. Next up, I really like Mike Wallace for the automatic wide receiver this week. Now, this Dolphins team has made vast improvements on their defense during this 6-game winning streak. But Wallace is just a faster dude that will be able to take advantage of this secondary that is very capable of being exposed. This is especially because most of their progress on their defense has come from the defensive line rather than the secondary. And because of that, you can't rule out big play possibilities as Joe Flacco's cannon arm can stretch the field and Wallace can certainly rebound from his snooze of a performance last week against Cincinnati. Oh, yeah, and remember what he did against his other former team, the Steelers, earlier this season during week number 9. So should he continue on this revenge tour, much of the same results should occur for the speedster today. Moving on to the running back position. Now, here's a guy I had as a sleeper earlier this season, and I'm talking about first quarter of the season early. And if you listen to me, well, you're welcome. And I'm referring to rookie Jordan Howard. Now, despite the Bears' lowly 4th place in the NFC North 2-9 season record, no Cutler, no Alshon Jeffrey as of late, no more Matt Forte, and no real explosive plays, Howard has definitely been the consistent bright spot on their offense. And his reward this afternoon is a redundant script as he plays at Soldier Field against the San Francisco Treat. Now, San Francisco has surrendered 17 scores to running backs alone and allowed double-digit fantasy points for the past 10 weeks. And just like some pizza from Giordano's, I expect Jordan Howard to cut deep dish style into this porous 49ers defense. Now, here's another sleeper I had back in October, and if you listen to me, well, again, you're welcome. And that's what I'm here for. And today, I'm promoting C.J. Fedorowicz as your automatic tight end. Yes, Brock Osweiler has been underwhelming, but you can't resist throwing C.J. in the mix today as the Texans take on the lackluster Packers secondary. Despite Osweiler's sluggish season, failure to throw the ball deep, and his recent 99 passing yards performance, Podhoretz is still his favorite target, and the third-year tight end performs regardless of wins or losses. He's a mismatch made in havoc, goes across the middle, and the Packers' defensive backs have only 3 interceptions on the season, and the most recent one just happened on Monday night. Oh, and that reminds me, with the Packers coming off of this short week, that could benefit the Texans as well. And with A-Rod on the other side, Houston will need points to counterattack, so the momentum will continue today for the big guy Podhoretz. Now, as for your bench warmers, guys you should sit this week. You know, guys that you want to start, but like Bryson Tiller said, yeah, those guys. And to kick this segment off at the quarterback position, I'm going to start with the NFL's reigning MVP, Cam Newton. Man, what a difference a year makes, huh? Now, during Carolina's impressive 15-1 run last year, the quarterback formerly known as Superman actually went up to Seattle last year and showed off. However, the Panthers have way too many concerns with their offensive line, drop passes by wide receivers and tight ends, not running the ball enough or effectively, and Cam hasn't been super accurate this season either. Oh, and by the way, Seattle is coming off of a 5-point performance and an embarrassing loss in Tampa, and they couldn't wait to get home this week and look to bounce back when they take on the current last place NFC South opponent. The Seahawks haven't given up big plays or big points to quarterbacks, not even to Tom Brady, in recent weeks, and Cam will be no exception, as it'll take more than 9 lives for the Panthers' wounded offense to get off the grid today. Moving on to the wide receiver slot, you should bench Randall Cobb this week. Now, of course, Aaron Rodgers has been impressive this season statistically, but Randall has been falling off like when you bite into corn on the cob. Now, granted, he's been dreadful over the past quarter of games, primarily due to nagging hamstring injuries, which has impeded any success of him stretching the field. He's also been surpassed by other members of the receiving corps, including the blossoming Davante Adams and a surprisingly healthy Jordy Nelson, knock on wood. Plus, Cobb has only had 1 touchdown over the past month. Also considering the fact that the Packers battle Houston's tough secondary, where the tandem of Kareem Jackson and Jonathan Joseph awaits. And don't be fooled by what the gunslinger Phillip Rivers did to them last week. Houston has given up the 3rd fewest points to wide receivers this season, and they'll bounce back this week, and Cobb should bounce to your bench. For the running back position, I'd send Ajayi to the bench this week as well. Yeah, I know y'all just hit me with that Scooby-Doo head tilt and sound effect, and you were like, But hear me out. For starters, the effectiveness of offensive linemen Brendan Albert and Laramie Tunsil are in question, and it's looking like Mike Pouncey won't play either, so that puts the former Boise State standout in a sticky situation. Couple that with the fact that his production has been incredibly low over the past few weeks, and he wasn't even able to take advantage of the generous 49ers defense, as he produced only 45 yards and no scores last Sunday. And today, he faces a Ravens team in Baltimore, a tough place to play, by the way, and that squad hasn't surrendered a touchdown in the past quarter of games. It's a tough pill to swallow in benching this stud, but a running back having success with this stingy matchup is even tougher. Closing out this segment, I highly recommend that you bench tight end Martellus Bennett this week as well. And I know what you're thinking, but Joe Madden, what about Gronkowski? He's having surgery. He's out. So, regardless of Gronkowski's health, Bennett will still be a non-factor because this guy isn't even 100% healthy himself, as he's still competing with the troublesome ankle injury. Once Tom Brady returned to the lineup from his suspension, Bennett just hasn't been utilized as much as he was the first quarter of the season. And more recently, Brady has been taking food off of Bennett's plate and giving it to the emerging Malcolm Mitchell, who scored a trio of touchdowns in the past couple of games. Oh yeah, and the Patriots are facing the tough LA defense, and they're extremely brutal against tight ends. And all but 2 in that position have scored double digits in points on the Rams this season in fantasy football. So, when it comes to your starting lineup this week, Bennett shouldn't be in it. Again, if you're thinking about starting these guys, you better do what Bryson Tiller said and Yeah, that part. Now, for my favorite part of the show, hey, you need to get up, get out, and get something. Don't let these waiver wire studs pass you by. You need to get up, get out, and get something. Don't sleep since their stock is not high. Ow, as I remix Outkast and Goody Mob right there. All right, no doubt. Now, for my surprising quarterback this week, I'm rolling with Tyrod Taylor. Now, I don't know if it's because I saw him in that new Toyota commercial while I was watching the games on Thanksgiving, or perhaps because he's facing the generous Raiders secondary, who's donated an average of 275 passing yards per game, and quarterbacks have put up satisfactory fantasy numbers against them, especially over the past 4 weeks. Now, granted, Taylor did have an underwhelming performance 2 weeks ago against Cincinnati, but he bounced back against a pretty decent Jaguars defense last week. Now he heads into the black hole a little thin at the wide receiver position, but Sammy Watkins seems like he'll be healthy enough to start today as he returns from his ailing foot injury. Plus, Taylor is elusive and adds rushing touchdowns to his tally, and he might just tally up a week number 13 win for you if you start him in your fantasy leagues today. Now, I have a shocking selection for my sleeper at the running back spot, but go with Matt Forte this week. Yes, I'm aware of the high expectations of this free agent acquisition, and he started off this season with the splurge. However, with the Jets' losing streak, issues at quarterback, and Forte regressing after being utilized so much more earlier this season, he's definitely regressed. But behold, on the docket this week is the Swiss cheese defense of the Indianapolis Colts. And they're about as leaky as the roof that was in the movie The Color Purple. You know, the part when the child had said, it's going to rain on your head. Hey, yeah, that part. Now, look, I'm not throwing shade. I'm just speaking facts. And as a matter of fact, the Colts' holy defense allows the 6th most fantasy points to running backs alone. Now, I know there is some concern as Forte laid an egg last week against the Patriots, but quietly, he's either put up at least 100 yards or more from the line of scrimmage or scored a touchdown in the past quarter of games. And with this ideal matchup, Matt might just be your Forte for week number 13. Moving on to my sleeper at the wide receiver position, I'm rolling with Taylor Gabriel. The undrafted free agent has displayed his ability as a vertical threat, and the Falcon is flying high with 5 scores in the past quarter of games, including a duo of touchdowns against the number 4 ranked passing defense, that in the Arizona Cardinals. And I know that he's playing a pretty stingy secondary against the Chiefs this week, but they're not the number 4 pass defense, and I don't anticipate him flying further south today in this home matchup. Now, he definitely has home run potential down the stretch as well, with a couple of other favorable matchups against the 49ers and the Panthers. Another reason he's worth picking up and to utilize for future starts because on the low, he also rushed for close to 30 yards last week. So, Taylor Gabriel might just be tailor-made to fit in your starting lineup today. And lastly, for your sleeper at the tight end position, I'm on board with Cameron Brate this week. Now, I understand if you have some concerns about starting him, especially due to the fact that he put up no-call, no-show performances over the past couple of games. Hey, I saw them too, but understand this. It was mainly because the Bucs took on the stout defensive secondary units of the Chiefs and the Seahawks. However, today Brate faces San Diego, and this is a lot more favorable of a matchup. The Chargers don't usually give up a lot of touchdowns, but they do give up a lot of yards, and tight ends are able to catch as many as 8 of their targeted passes on them. Also because Tampa is facing a high-scoring offense as they must put up points against Phillip Rivers and company, this could easily turn into a shootout, so that will also increase Brate's chances to shine in today's matchup. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of your Fantasy Fulfilled. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and please don't forget to go out and get your copy of my book, When Football Season Turns You Into His Side Chick, The Ultimate Survival Guide for Relationships and Households During Football Season, available now on Amazon.com and CreateSpace.com. And I want to send out a colossal thank you to actor, wrestling manager, entrepreneur, dream seller, and host of Nick D at Night, of Nick at Night, Nick Darden, for allowing me to grace my presence on his terrific radio show earlier this week. I am so honored and humbled and appreciate you so much for letting me come talk about my book, relationships, and the NFL. Also, you guys make sure that you go out and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is ESPN the Network, and stay tuned. I gotta dip, you guys. I gotta go out here and make sure I check out this Steelers and Giants game that I've been looking forward to for so long. So I'll catch you guys next week. So just chill to the next episode. Thanks again so much. I'll catch you next time, and I'm out. What's going on, good people? It's your girl again, Latasha Miles, a.k.a. Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at she_SPN and at Facebook at Latasha Joan Madden Miles. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is ESPN the Network. Hey, I'm kind of a big deal. You know, I'm a little bit cute, got some beauty, got some brains. That way on that channel, you'll be able to see the interviews that I've done, some of the famous people that I worked with, the projects I worked on, things of that nature. And don't forget to log on to CreateSpace.com and Amazon.com and get your copies of my book, When Football Season Turns You Into His Side Chick, the ultimate survival guide for relationships and households during football season. I appreciate your support. And hey, I gotta run. They're over here calling me on the other line. I gotta manage another fantasy football league. I'm out.
Gon' kick it off there, whoa. Gon' kick it off there, whoa. Hold up, we living big dreams now. As it seems now, we doing big things now. You on a small scale, we do it nationally. With an all-girls squad, now that's a fantasy league, whoa.